In this video, I'm going to show you how to use time in project.co. So let's dive into our demo account to get started. So I've created a project specifically to show this to you. If we go into projects, we can see that I've created one called time demo. And it's got a time tool and a task tool. And I've added a few groups and a few people to it as well. So the first thing you'll usually want to do when you create a project is allocate some time to it. And to do that, we can go into the time tool and we start on the actual time. But if we go over to the breadcrumbs, we can click to our allocated time page. And from here, we can just click to allocate. Now there's the first decision you've got to make really. What level do you want to allocate time to? Do you want to allocate time to the group, to the person, or to the task? If you allocate time to the group, it's effectively like saying, well, our copy team need this amount of time, our design team need this amount of time, our production team need this amount of time for this project. Or if you allocate to the person, you're saying James needs this amount of time, Jenny needs this amount of time. You can specify by person, and then also you can specify by task as well. So if you want to say A, B and C need 1, 2 and 3 hours, for example, you can specify it that way. So it just depends how you want to allocate your time. In this example, I'm going to go the first route. I'm going to actually allocate by group. So if I choose group there, I can choose the group and I'm going to say our copy team needs 5 hours on this project. I can then allocate more time. I can say our design team need 8 hours and our production team needs 10 hours. So you can see we've got that here. Copy 5, design 8, production 10. Total of 23 hours. Now what we need to do is we need to record time on our project. So we can do that in a couple of different ways. We can hop back here up to our actual time and we can add a new time entry. So let's do that. And I'm going to add a manual time entry. So we can choose the group, copy, we can choose the person, Lexi, we can optionally allocate a task, we can choose the date and how many hours. So let's say 3 hours. But there's also another way to do that as well. If we want to go up to our header here, the time button also pops up our create new time entry, and you'll see that we can do as we can from the new time entry on the project page. We also have a couple of different options. We can do this manually like we just did, or we can start a timer. So we could start a timer again in the same way, say copy, Lexi, and if, for example, if I've just started a task, we can start the timer there. And you'll see that we can have a start-stop button. And when we close that, you'll also see we have a 1 notification there. So that's how you can allocate and record actual time spent on projects. But I just want to jump over to a different project that's got a bit more information on it so that I can show you how this looks like when it's been filled out a little bit further. So if we go back to our projects page and go to this home page, explain a video project, we can then go into our time tool and you'll see we have a lot more time filled out here. Something that's quite useful to do is to group your time page. So if we go up to the grouping button here, the best thing to do is group it by the level that you're actually focusing on. So in this example, we're focusing on the group level. So if I group by group, we can now see copy and all the time that's been spent at copy. We can see design and all the time that's been spent at design, and we can see production here as well. So we can see that copy has spent 11.5 hours, design has spent 21 hours. But if we also want to see this another way, we can go over to our allocated time here and we can see it just in simple rows. So we can see our copy team has been allocated 9 hours but actually spent 11.5. Our production team has been allocated 24 hours but spent 25, and that goes down. In the end, you can see we've been allocated 58.5 hours, but we've actually spent 59.5 hours. So pretty close, but still over. Anyway, we can also see this in a chart if we like as well. You can see actual and allocated time in a chart by going up to the chart button here and then choosing one of the charting options. So we can see allocated time in light and actual time in dark colour. Something else that I'd like to show you as well is allocating and adding time to tasks specifically. So if we head back to this project page and go into the task tool and then go into a task, in the sidebar here we have an option for time tracking, and we can allocate and record time. So if I come in here and I click it, then I can allocate time to this task right from within the task window. So if I say this task is going to take 4 hours, I can then allocate that time. And perhaps I'm also ready to mark some actual time against this task as well. I can click into actual time and it'll show me manual, but I could also choose to start a timer on this task as well if I'd like to. Let's add some manual time. Okay, I'm just going to add it for, again, similar, copy Lexi today, and I'm going to add 2 hours. And we can see those 2 hours are added there in a chart, in a table, sorry. And now we can see that we've allocated 4 and we've actually spent 2. So we can actually see that as well on the time page. So when you add it to the task, it'll also filter through onto the time page. So everything you add on a task will also be recorded in the time page as well. Again, as I said, everything that can be done in the time page can also, or on the tasks, can also be done up here in the time pop-up. So if we go into here now, we'll see that we can add some more manual time. We actually have our timer still running, so let's stop that now. And we could allocate time to a project as well if we wanted. Again, we get to choose the task, the group, person or task level. I hope that's been useful. It's a little bit of an introduction to time. If you do have any questions, please get in touch with our support team. We'd be very happy to help.